what are we now, bi-monthly? Whatever. This may be the last Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Subcommittee meeting. Right? It's going to be a committee.
Yes. Yeah.
Monday, May 4th,
Doing big time.
2015. Call to order, okay, we've done that, and roll call. Let's go that one.
Okay, Marcy Greenhut, Public Works Department.
Nancy Humphrey, Public Works.
Robert Prince, IT Space Staff.
Mike Roberts, Public Works.
Ken?
Ken Bukowski, photographer, resident business person.
Brian?
Oh, Brian Donahue.
Laura McCamey, committee member. Celeste Burrows, committee member.
Miguel Guerrero, Emeryville resident.
And Tom Movick, member. Any public comments for items that are not on the agenda?
I'll have member comments at the end, but not now, I guess.
No, you're on the committee, you don't get to do it now.
Wait,
You're not on the committee. You
Can I
have
make
anything
it-
to say?
I do.
Here.
I'm sorry.
Go.
I just wanted to introduce myself. This is my first meeting with the subcommittee. I've lived in Emeryville for a year and I'm getting ready to graduate from San Francisco State. I recently applied to be on the advisory committee beginning in June, so I came today to see how the meetings run and really interested in working with you guys.
Cool, great, welcome.
Thank you.
Was it about bicycles or pedestrians or both?
I'm interested in both. I do both here in Emeryville and I don't own a car, so I'm on either on foot or on bike, wherever I go.
Or Emery go around?
Emery go around if I'm taking part.
Where do you live?
I live on 64th and Christie.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, yeah.
I just want to say that the downside of having committee member announcements at the end is that everyone's tired and wants
Yeah,
to
that's
leave.
right. I've always said that.
And I have a couple of things that I want to bring up that aren't on
Should
the
we
agenda.
change the order?
I mean, I don't know if we
Always
can change
should
it
be.
for
Should
tonight or
always
if we,
be. Everyone
you know.
leaves before they.
Yeah, people are, it's just hard to get a word in.
Yeah.
We have announced things that you want to bring up that are a little more than just, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I'd
short
like to say what I have to say too, so.
So do we want to, could I, I'll
Sure,
move,
let's
I'll move.
Let's
that-
go to 4B
That we
and we'll
move
move
that
it
up.
up here and make it 2B.
Or
Or not to
3B. Yeah, 2B, okay. And I don't want to preempt any other public comments, I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so are we done
I
with
guess.
public comment?
Is that
or-
one?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I had a couple of comments. One, I want to say thank you so much, Mike. The light at Beaudry and Powell is fixed, and I don't know who on Public Works did it, but thank you very much for taking care of that. That's lovely. That's very good news.
He'll take that.
I have a question. Stanford Street is one way between Doyle and Hollis right now because of construction. How long is that slated to go on?
About another month.
Another month. I don't know how big a hassle it is for cars. It's a big issue for bikes because it means going 4 blocks out of the way, and it means, for those of us who live in that quadrant that would use that way to get to the west, and I would just put it out there that removing parking and making it 2-way for cars and bikes might be another option. I know parking is very tight in the neighborhood right now because of the construction. But I just want to say that I think that street is more useful as a throughway for cars than as a parking spot for 4 or 5 people. That little stretch where it's narrow. So I want to put that out there.
it's only
For a
temporary,
bike, well, I know, so the parking loss would be temporary. As a bike, it means I have to cross at an uncontrolled, very busy street that's often backed up on Powell Street, and then, circle back around. And if I'm going on Hollis, it means I have to go through another really ugly intersection. If I'm going to Doyle, it's not so bad, or Horton, it's not so bad. The other thing I want to say is that I had a really, really bad experience on Horton Street a couple days ago with somebody who came literally 6 inches from my bike. And when I had a little freak out and let him know about that in some rather loud tones, he said, "Oh, you should watch the street, you should watch out for traffic," or something jerky like that.
On Horton.
On Horton. What was going on at that moment, and what is always I was headed northbound on Horton at rush hour in the evening, and I think that there's the traffic that has to do with the people that work in the neighborhood, I don't think is the problem. The problem is people who use it as a cut through either the FedEx trucks or the northbound traffic at night, because they are not looking at, oh, here's my destination. They're using it as a throughway and they want to go as fast as they can, and that is really incompatible with sharing a bike boulevard with bikes. And I'm always on the fence about whether I should get over to the right so people like that jerk don't kill me, or if I should take the lane more, because if I get over to the right, people really try to squeeze me against the parked cars. So I know we're working on traffic calming. I think that's really going to help, and I just would love to have this on the July agenda if we can, because I'm wondering if there's some things, the traffic calming thing is going to take a little while, and I'm wondering if with the signage we're putting in on Doyle, could we do an addendum and do some signs that say bikes allowed full use of the lane? Are there some things that we could do cheaply and more quickly that might alert some of the jerks that are using it as a cut through?
Well, the answer is if there's no lanes, you're supposed to, if there's no bike lanes and it's a bike boulevard, you're supposed to take the whole lane.
Well, you are, but I don't think cars know that, and they try to push me over
Yeah,
as
sure.
a bicyclist, especially when the traffic is heavy.
Imagine diverters.
And the other, no, I know, but in the meantime, it's a very dangerous situation, and I may be just sensitized to it because I'm only recently going there at rush hour. And I also want to say that another option, and I don't know what the police budget is for this, but I would love to see a police sting there. I think if the police did some targeted enforcement on days when the freeway's backed up and the traffic is heavy on Horton, if they had a couple of patrol officers ticketing people for, the 3-foot rule, which this person violated. Sometimes it's hard to judge, but the person who passed me, it was not hard to judge. I mean, he almost hit my mirror. And if someone had been out there, I suspect there are other opportunities for that and other infractions, and that might make people less enthusiastic about using it as a cut through if they knew it was a trap where they might get ticketed. So that's just a thought I had in my very angry moments after getting hit.
Laura, I'll add that what I've noticed is that having that construction at Hollis and Powell has increased traffic on Horton because people are avoiding that intersection, which gets really backed up.
But would it increase? I wasn't going northbound, not southbound.
Yeah, I've noticed it in both directions.
Really?
Yeah, and the
Oh,
counts
because they
show
don't
it.
want to go on Hollis. People who might otherwise be on Hollis are going on Horton.
Yeah.
Oh, so you think, because this was the worst traffic I've seen. I've been there at rush hour, and it's not good, but this was really, really dense, and I thought, well, maybe the freeway's really backed up, but maybe
I think all those things are true.
What stretch of Horton was it?
the part between 40th and where the bike lanes start. It's really between 40th and 53rd.
And it was northbound?
Northbound. Northbound is where the heavy traffic is, because that's where the people who get off the freeway, they come up Mandela, and they go up and then hop on the freeway again in somewhere, in Emeryville or north of Emeryville.
Well, let me just say this about that. We've known about this as a problem now for 10 years. And we have the fix it, we have a way to fix it. We've known about the way to fix it for 10
The little
years.
sign that says through traffic doesn't,
No, it's
that
the bike,
doesn't do
it's called the
anything.
pedestrian bicycle plan, and we know about it. We know how to fix exactly what you just said. We've known about it for 10 years, and still we're waiting.
Well,
We wait.
Yeah, well, and I'm happy that it's
years.
coming soon, and I know these things take time, and I
It's not
understand
coming
that, but I just, especially if there's some extreme stuff, if there's other factors, maybe it's time to send, if the police have the manpower to send, or women power to send a couple of enforcement officers out there, it might be a nice way to raise awareness about the 3-foot rule, or, something, or if we have I don't know if the city has a portable sign that with the LED sign that we could put out that says bikes allowed full use of the lane, or allowed 3 feet to pass bicycles, something, because I
Seems
feel like
sad
there
that-
is some, I know, but I
Bike
think there's
boulevard.
people who don't, the people who work here, I think, figure it out and they learn how to coexist. The people who are just cutting through have no clue.
But don't you get
that's
the
why they
feeling-
call it rush hour.
Don't you get the feeling that there are some
Apparently-
motorists that deliberately come as close to you as possible?
Well,
just to-
Or some-
I was wondering that about this.
Yeah, 'cause that's what
It
happens.
was pretty
They do that.
So all these signs, these bike boulevard stencils and signs are just, they don't help. So
No,
that's
I
why we
think
have
it
to
does
have
help, though.
diverters. We have to have diverters.
I'm not saying this instead of diverters. I'm talking about interim until the
You're right,
diverters
we're not
come
gonna get
in.
diverters for another 10 years probably.
No, I think
Let's see
it's
if we can
gonna.
put this on the agenda.
Yeah, I think it's coming soon, but I'm just wondering if there are some lesser measures we can do more quickly that might until the traffic calming happens. I think
Okay,
that
so
would be
I
good.
always thought that it was still state law that bicyclists are supposed to ride as close to the right-hand
No, not
side
on a
as
bike
is
boulevard.
as is practical.
Not-
Well, on
bike
a narrow street
And
where.
safe. We
Yeah,
just
where
had
it's
that
not,
training.
it's not
Yeah, I know.
safe to ride It's not safe to ride over to the right if it gives a car the
Right.
impression that they can share the lane with you when they really can't.
That's
It's
right.
actually safer to be in the middle, so they understand they really have to pass you.
That's right, and specifically Bike Boulevard, you supposed to take your lane.
Well, you know,
Well, that's how
when you
it's
got that
marked.
big no parking on the whole side because of
Yeah.
Novartis thing, you've got plenty of room to
No,
park.
there is not plenty of room. There are parked cars most of the way. There are some areas where there's no parking.
Over by his place, yeah.
But Bike Boulevard, they have to, it's bicycle preferred, cars allowed.
Right, exactly. That, it's
Well,
bicycle
that's why
priority
I'm,
street.
Yeah.
That's why I want to advocate for an 18-mile-an-hour speed.
Right,
Well, but that's not
right.
gonna work either. Diverters will work.
Well, and there's already a sign that says no through traffic.
Yeah, but, well, that's not
That is as
enforceable.
ignored as any sign
Yeah.
in the city of Emeryville.
But I think that's not enforceable by the police, but the 25 mile an hour,
Well,
I
then
don't know if that's
why put the
enforceable.
sign up if it's not enforceable?
That's a good point.
Well-
That's a good point.
I
That's
mean,
why,
it's
that's why
just,
we
I
need
mean, people have
diverters.
obviously figured out it's just BS, right?
I
That's why
think
we
they
need
just don't see
diverters.
that sign.
Diverters will
And
actually
the real
force
place for
people.
the diverters at 40th Street.
Yes,
Could you
I
have taken
agree.
a picture?
Continue to
of
say
his
that.
license?
That's
Let's
what
get
I'm gonna
down
do
to our
next time.
agenda.
I
No, I
just
want
had a moment
comments.
of just
I've got
the
comments.
flames coming
got
out of my
comments.
head, because it was so
Are we done?
analyzing.
No, we're on.
That's what we
Well,
can
I
do.
got some comments for QB.
When he sees you doing that, he's
And I'm
gonna
going
worry
to
about
post it on
coming next.
Facebook, and
All right,
there are
hey,
apparently places to do that, yes. That is
come
my
on,
new.
Brian.
Okay, member
Okay,
comments.
thank
We
you.
finished?
Okay.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, yeah.
Or did you want to make comments, Ken? Go ahead.
Okay, I attended the Alameda County Bicycle Committee, and they have a project advisory committee review checklist, which I want to read with Marcy, and it goes over all the things that they check when cities come in and make presentations. Then I want to let people know who didn't know, are aware of it, that the remediation for the transit center is about to begin. So that's going to mean hundreds of trucks moving the dirt that they intend to replace over there, and I don't know what the routes are, but that's...
Yeah, the parking lot's closed.
Yeah, the parking lot's closed,
The
but we're
Amtrak?
getting ready to do that.
By
so-
the Amtrak station?
Yeah, right
on
next to the
Horton?
Amtrak station.
Oh.
So that's just something to make people aware of. And then on the bike share, I think we're doing really well, but we need to recommend that the council change their advertising policy, because in order to take advantage of it, the council has this policy about advertising on public right-of-way, and so, and that's also true with the bus shelters now. The city council just approved the contract for requests for proposals for outside artists to do bus shelters, which the city would pay for with the public art fund. And I have a lot of concern about that, because the kind of art that's going to be put up there is usually beautiful art, and bus shelters have a reputation for vandalism. So I think we're opening the door to potential problems with the artists, and we can get the whole thing free if we just allowed advertising. So when the council changes the rule about advertising for the bike share, if they do that, then we can get free bus shelters, and we shouldn't be using public art money for that when we can use that for other things.
Do you want to put that on the agenda for next time?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So we can do that.
Proposal?
And then that's it. Thank you.
It's a lot more complicated to put things on the agenda now.
Is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Can't just ask.
Oh, we can't
Okay,
just
now
ask?
my turn.
Okay.
My turn. I just want to say really quickly, I'm a boy am I against advertising in the commons. I'm just totally against it. It's an intrusion into the commons by it's privatizing the commons, and I'm just
So you don't want
totally
bike
against it.
share then, right?
No, I don't want advertising in the commons. I
Well,
want
you
to
can't
pay.
have bike share
I
without-
want government function to be paid for by taxes, not advertising in the commons. So I just disagree with you about that. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about here is two things. One thing that this committee has lost what amount of nimbleness that we once had, we're now losing. And let me just explain why. The new formula has some good points, but mostly bad points. It used to be that if a community member or a committee member saw a looming problem, like an urgent problem, not an emergency, but an urgent problem, it could be taken care of in a month. Now it's going to be 4 months. Here's how. Let's say a community member notices a problem. He has to wait for the next BPAC meeting, which 2 months. It could be every 2 months. So then he goes to the BPAC meeting, he alerts the BPAC of the problem. Then we have to vote. Do we think this is worth talking about? Yes, we think it is. Then we put it on the next agenda, another 2 more months. That's 4 months. And then we talk about it, this urgent problem, now 4 months have elapsed. And then we talk about it, and then we say, yeah, this is an urgent problem, this has got to be taken care of, long, whatever, long ago we should have taken care of it, it's a big problem, and then 2 weeks later, the council discusses it. So it's now 4.5 months from somebody noticing a big problem, urgent problem, to now the city council being able to now start talking about it. That's 4.5 months. It used to be 1 month, 1.5 actually.
That's only true.
And so hold on. Ken, I'll let you talk. So we have lost a huge amount of nimbleness, and I think it's a problem. I think we should do something about it, and we shouldn't just accept it. I think it's a big problem. We now can no longer take care of emerging urgent problems.
We can put emergency items on the agenda, can't we?
No, I didn't say emergency. I said urgent problems.
We could put urgent items on the
I don't think
agenda, can't we?
I don't think we're allowed to do that. I think it
No.
has to be
Has to be
max
voted
of
on.
3.
Yeah, it has to be voted on.
Can I just say that there is going to be a training for all community advisory committee members in June, I believe, before the first
That's right.
meeting of the new term. So you're going to all get to hear how that's supposed to go and also ask questions and make suggestions and all that.
What I just said is
And
accurate. You can't put stuff on the agenda like you could before now. It has to be voted on.
What is the process to put something on the agenda?
She's going to tell us.
So it is on the agenda
Okay.
to talk about this, and right now we're just in
Okay.
committee member announcements.
Comments.
Or
So
comments,
the next
yeah.
thing I wanted to say is there's an urgent problem that I alerted this group to and also to the council to, but so far nothing has happened because of various reasons. But that is there's a violation of, an urgent violation now of the pedestrian bicycle plan, the plan that we have.
Which is?
Our liaison, our staff liaison, Maurice Kaufman, has told us now, we now find out, he's told us that 45th Street Bike Boulevard has what he thinks is around 1,500 vehicle trips per day, maybe more. And that's a violation of the plan. And so he announced this quite some time ago.
So 1499 is not a violation and 1501 is a violation?
Yes. And he thinks that we're right around that.
And there's no traffic study being done?
There was one from 10 years ago, but he thinks that we've have increased traffic enough so that we're now in violation. And so now it's going to be 4.5 months from right now to when this can come before the council. Because I'm going to officially.
I'd like to clarify that.
Hold up, so I want this on the next agenda, us to vote on this, the next agenda, that the 45th Street Bike Boulevard traffic count, Maurice Kaufman says we are now in violation. Let's talk about that at the next agenda.
On item 5 here, you can bring new business for the next regular BPAC meeting.
Okay, that's right.
In July.
That's right. But
Okay, so why don't you wait?
Everyone leaves, but as Laura said, everyone leaves for that, so that's fine.
But I'd still like to
Exactly.
clarify
Right.
that.
Yeah, you want your
this-
stuff on the agenda, you guys talk.
This
Okay, on the
item
agenda.
was on the agenda in February,
That's
March.
right, yes.
And Maurice came and spoke about it, and he was clear that those data that he represented to you were in error.
That's right, because he said that's right, he said he made a mistake. But he then further went on to say that he believes that it's about, he said 3,000 back at first. And then he said he was in error, it's not 3,000. But he thinks that it's about 1,500, maybe a little more net right now. That's what he said.
So I'm just saying that we have had this discussion.
No, we have not had this discussion. He's told me we're in excess of 3,000. So I put it on the agenda. And then he came to the committee and he said, yes, I did say in excess of 3,000, but I was mistaken. What it really is about 1,500, probably a little more. 1,500 isn't a violation of the BPAC.
So what would have happened if he'd have said, oh, it's 1,500 or a little less?
Well, I still think it's an urgent problem because 15 is the cutoff. So if he thinks it's about 15, we should accept him as professional best judgment, and we need to talk about it, and then with the idea of we'll probably alert the council that they need to do a traffic count. But he did change. He went from 3,000 as professional judgment down to 1,500 about, but that's still a violation because Horton Street needs to have 3,000 to be a violation, but every other bicycle boulevard west of Horton Street needs to be 1,500.
Right, and they're guidelines though, they're not hard and fast.
That's right, but we have been told by the official staff person that he thinks we're in violation, so
Yeah,
we
but
need to talk about it.
Well, except, okay, and I'm not saying we don't, I'm just trying to move us forward because we do have a lot of issues and we did already
Yeah, but we're in
talk about
violation.
45th.
How do you
You're not
know?
in
Because
violation.
it's not my opinion, it's his opinion that we're in violation.
It's an opinion, it's not a
But
hard
he's the
traffic count.
yeah, that's right. But he's the professional. We should take him at his word, and we should talk about it with the idea.
We did talk about it.
No,
and
but
what
we need
we were told in February is that we weren't in violation. He thought.
No, but now, okay, I'll
And
tell
he
you.
also
Now he's
thought
saying
that,
yes.
you know,
Okay, I'm just
okay.
telling you. And we'll have him come here, and he'll have him repeat to us. Yes, it's
same
about
thing.
1,500, and then we need to go. Whoa, 1,500. We go to our plan.
1,500.
Oh, that's a violation.
It's not,
And then we,
but
yes, it is.
what
And
I've
then we
been
talk
trying to
about
say
it.
several times is, it's not a violation because it's only a guideline.
Well, if
It's
it
not
was a million
limit.
cars, it wouldn't be a violation. It's only a
Right,
guideline.
so
But-
violation isn't the right word.
I don't care. That's all
Yeah,
right.
but you do, because the response to a violation is different from the response to an
Okay.
overage.
Okay, there's an overage. We need to talk about it. We can't
Yeah.
ignore it. We know that there's an overage according to the professional city staff member. We know there's an overage. This needs to be talked about because you can't ignore overages. You can't
We
ignore
have
the
to
plan.
talk about it.
You cannot ignore the plan. The
Right.
plan is-
Anyways.
So and we need to talk about it.
You're off topic here. Let's get to.
Okay, so then put it on the next agenda,
Number
please.
5th, on
So we can
number
talk about it
5,
4
you
months
can-
from
You
now.
can ask about it.
4 months from now, we can talk about it. And meanwhile, we'll be even more of it.
When would you, well, I mean, as an aside, when would you expect city council to approve a traffic study?
I don't know, it's not for us to decide that, it's up to us to say, tell the council there's an overage.
We're gonna move
and
on
that
to
there's
item
a
number
problem.
3,
Okay.
which is the approval of the minutes. Hopefully we've had time to at least scan the minutes and look at them, see what the deal is. Any egregious errors? Not, should we move approval?
I
What do
just
you got?
want to say one thing for item 4B. 4B, at the end, it says, it's talking about Love Our Neighborhood Day, it was an announcement, and Laura doesn't know how traffic will be detoured from the event, and Steve has not replied to email answering this question. I didn't announce that, and I think he has since. I'd rather not, I think that's not quite the right statement. That wasn't a committee member
So what do you want, something?
As of that
Who's
time.
Steve?
Steve Tiffin, who is handling the traffic, he handled it last year, he's handling it this year, and questions have been posed to him.
Yeah, that was
That
part
was
of
not,
our
it
meeting
just,
anyhow.
that wasn't a committee member announcement. I announced that this was happening, but I'm sorry, it just feels like that is unnecessarily harsh and being in the minutes, because he has answered and that won't be in the minutes.
So you want that clause
Just that
at the
last
end
clause,
taken out?
yeah, because it's true, and
Okay.
I was asked and I said I
Strike
didn't
everything
know.
after San Pablo Avenue dot?
Yeah, that's
No.
what I would request.
Okay, move approval?
Second.
That's plain Bike to Work Day.
Okay, so if anybody can put up a flyer, we've got some on the table. Bike to Work Day is a week from Thursday. This Friday, we're going to be stuffing our Emeryville bags. We've got some volunteers helping with that. We've got a number of, we've got Arizmendi helping us out, Rebel Lights helping us out. Arizmendi is donating pastries for a couple of stations. Bacano Bakery is donating some pastries. And Pixar is also donating pastries. Let's see, we've got about 8 different people from Rebel Lights coming to work at Adeline and 46th. And we've got 3 Arizmendi staff that are going to be helping at 40th in San Pablo.
Nice.
And Celeste and Sam Fushi, and a couple of staff members are going to be down at Frontage and Powell at the new Shell station. The new Shell station in Black and White Liquor, for the first time, we've asked them to stash a table for us for the next morning, and they're going to be doing that. So
Great.
Pedal Express is going to bring the tables the day before, so the next morning we don't have to worry about getting everybody set up. Laura, we just need to confirm if you need help getting the table over to Cliff Bar.
So Cliff Bar is going to stash it
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah, they said that just to contact them on the 13th and you can bring a table.
If Pedal Express is already doing that, maybe they could.
I didn't ask them to because I wasn't sure if you,
It would, I think that might be logistically easier if they could do all
Okay.
3. If that's okay with you, then I don't have to figure out how to liaise with them. I'm happy to bring boxes that morning from my house if that's helpful, or if it's more helpful to stash. Cliff Bar usually brings over a big flatbed, but they have a lot of stuff that they bring. They bring
Yeah.
stationary bikes,
Yeah.
so I think a table wouldn't be a problem for them, but boxes might be an issue, and I'm happy. They get there
oh, so you
early
think
and-
Cliff Bar would bring the table with them?
Yeah, I think
If we
they-
bring it the day before?
I think they could. They bring their own table, so I don't see why they couldn't bring 2 tables.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking they could lend us a table too.
Well, why don't you ask them if they could do that? I bet you they could. Ask if they could bring 2 tables instead of just one and lend us a table. They probably wouldn't mind at all. I mean, they bring these big tents, they bring all sorts of stuff, and it's not far for them. And then we don't have to worry about the table, we can just bring boxes of, whatever our stuff.
Okay, so I know we can stash a table there. I kind of, sort of tried to ask if they could bring a table, but,
Well, they already bring one for their
I
own stuff,
know,
so ask
yeah.
if they could bring 2.
2.
I bet they could. I bet they could. They're very, very supportive and nice. I can't imagine Cliff Bar doesn't have 2 folding tables. I think it's there for everyone.
okay. So let's see, and then, and the tables are already at Adeline and 46, we don't need to worry about those. And we've got about 7 volunteers working 40th and St. Paul. Did I already say that? I'm just trying to go through in my mind all these trailers. I guess what I want to find out is if anybody here, aside from David, has a trailer we can borrow to haul boxes of bags and T-shirts.
I have a trailer tomorrow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, is it like a burly?
It's a regular buggy.
What?
It's a bicycle buggy, just like every other trailer.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
reinforce it with wood because I carry a lot of heavy stuff.
Okay. Do you want to, can we use it Friday
Yeah.
this week?
Yeah.
Okay.
What time is the Emeryville bag stuffing?
Bag
It starts
stuffing
at
is on
1?
Friday
Starting?
at 1.
Okay.
And we're supposed to be there a few minutes early, and it takes a couple hours, and then haul everything back.
I am hoping that I can be there. My plan is to be there, but don't count on me. Let me be the overflow.
Okay.
If I can, I'll come and help stuff, and I will bring my trailer. And
Okay, well, if we don't have enough trailers and people, I'm going to ask Pedal Express to help us. So,
What time do you want me to bring it over?
can you bring it before Friday, like Thursday,
Friday
Wednesday?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, all right, and ask, at the desk for them to call me down and
Okay,
I'll stash it somewhere.
okay.
And does it need a hitch?
No, we've got a hitch.
Okay, okay.
Well, we may need the part that goes to the bicycle. I'd have to take it off mine. Because those are hard to get.
Okay, okay,
All right, I can take you off and
Okay.
bring the hitch with the
yeah.
12 parts.
Because I don't think we have bikes with hitches
Okay,
necessarily. I know mine doesn't.
okay.
We are going to use the city bike, one of them, with a city trailer. We got these bikes on, what, last week?
Yes.
A couple weeks ago? We staff are getting a little bit of training so we can sign up and use them instead of using a car for
So
all
those
of our
2 gray
errands.
bikes out there?
Yeah,
Or light blue gray?
Yeah.
Great.
And this week, we have an electric Faraday bike for staff to try out just for the week.
Oh.
It's not there because it's too special.
I'm glad you said that, otherwise I was going to be kind of worried. Because it was there before, so.
But you won't have it next week, because that would
No.
be lovely for hauling trailers full of heavy
Yes, it
shirts
would.
for that.
Well, we'll have it this week, but we
We
won't.
won't have it for like to
We'll have
workday. We would have it on the 8th.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get a really big trailer and hook it up to that and just put everything on that one bike. Pretty much, things are coming together.
Marcy, can I say one thing before you leave trailers?
Yeah.
One year that I helped trailer it from REI, there were, I think, 3 of us with trailers. I had a trailer and I carried about 4 boxes. Pedal Express was there and carried maybe 7 or 8 boxes. And it was when Peter and now I'm forgetting her name, the woman who had Sarah's job, but they had a trailer. Arlie,
yeah.
God, my brain. And I think either Arlie or Peter had a trailer that they hauled some stuff on as well. So it's doable.
Yeah. Plus
with
it'll be
3
a
or
little
4.
closer. It won't be as
Yes,
far as REI.
and it's downhill,
Yeah.
which is nice.
Yeah, it's a long haul.
It's actually not any closer than REI.
It's not? You don't think?
REI, it's about 20 minutes either way.
Oh,
REI
okay,
is
okay.
because it's just a straight shot,
Yeah,
you
'cause
don't
it's
have to go
east.
west. Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like it's gonna come together really well with, again.
We've got adequate volunteers at each place.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, I had to sort of cut it off because I was going up over budget because I was gonna,
The t-shirts.
giving everybody t-shirts, like, yikes.
And Marcy, would it help you if I emailed you once I know for sure what my
Yeah.
schedule is for Friday?
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Okay.
I mean, if I could tell Pedal Express not to worry about it and just have them help us next week, that would be better. And then next week, with the tables, they have to do that after hours as it is because Wednesday's a really busy day. Let's
Who else
see.
was on there? Something about a community bike ride?
Oh, yeah, right. I'm still looking at just my
Oh.
list of other things. Yeah, so we have a community bike ride, leaving outside City Hall 8 a.m., probably coming back by 9. And it'll be probably up to the members that ride where they want to go, but it's probably going to be really flat and really close, like right around maybe, 40th and San Pablo and Adeline 46 and then come back.
You're not gonna go to Claremont?
That's an idea.
Go
Just checking.
where?
Just checking.
Up Claremont to Grizzly Peak.
And then turn around and come back down.
With the electric,
If you want smoothies, come down.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
65th
idea.
and Go on the Greenway. Greenway's always pretty fun and hopping during Bike to Work Day. That's a nice, easy.
Charlie,
safe ride.
Charlie, Brian, and Ian Appleyard are gonna lead it, so I'll have to try and remember to mention to them if they want smoothies.
Yeah, bicycle
Head down the
smoothies.
Greenway.
Yeah.
Let's see, we've got new people at Pedal Express this year, so it's a little bit different than it's been past years. It's new to them, although I think they help, but they just weren't in the lead. So, Miguel has offered to help out, which is great. We're already putting him to work. And so that extra trailer, I think, we could hook up to maybe your bike, might be the one, or Robin's bike. I'm not sure. You don't have a trailer though.
I don't have a trailer.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I'm happy to hook it up to it.
Yeah. So, and I think there's about 25 bags per box, and so I have to get some crates and boxes and stuff, and then there's the t-shirts and,
The t-shirts are pretty negligible because that's just a few, but the bags are
yeah.
heavy, especially if they have those books in them. The Chinook books.
Oh, yeah, right.
They're heavy boxes, I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
I think there's more than 25 bags. I mean, they have different size boxes, but
Right.
the big boxes I think hold more than 25
Well, if we
bags.
can bring some of our crates, we can maybe fit more.
How many bags total is Emeryville getting this year?
I think 300. I'm pretty sure it's 300.
So we had,
So that's about 12 boxes if you divide up to by 25.
yeah, maybe.
Anyway.
We had over 200 just at the Greenway. I mean, not everyone needed a bag.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing, is not everybody wants a bag. A lot of people have bags that don't want anymore. But we're going to try and divide them up proportionally to where the most bikes, the cyclists show up. So I have a kind of formula I worked out for that, because we have the swag are given away, and, you know, we have to figure all that.
Well,
Anyway,
and I have a timing question, because there was a discussion last year about it being okay for us to stay open a little later than 9, because we got a significant number of people from between 9 and 9:30 coming by our place. And I don't know, Robert, do the bike counts between 9 and 9:30 count? I feel like Cynthia told me that it was okay to keep counting and give her those numbers.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with continuing to count as long as you have a cutoff.
Okay.
So we know,
So you know what
the time.
Yeah, there was no 11:30.
Right, we stayed out all day.
When you get to 300, stop counting.
But it was another little, it wasn't as heavy as some of the, like 8 to 8:30, but there was quite a significant
Yeah.
number of people who came by then, and it felt nice to be able to offer them.
We'll just have to know, like, where, if we have our table over there, where it ends up. At the
Well,
end.
I can bring my trailer, and I may be able to trailer it back at the end of the day.
Yeah, we just need to keep track of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions about Bike to Work Day, or?
So where are we supposed to be for the ride here at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it on the agenda? Maybe not. Sorry. No, it's not. Sorry, it's my notes. Yeah, it starts
8 a.m.
at
City
8 a.m.
Hall.
8 a.m. City Hall on May 14th. So more you may now or than what the rest of us are going to be.
Right.
So at the bike, the bag stuffing, we're not stuffing bags?
Yes, we
Oh,
are.
we're not putting everything in the bags.
So, good question. It seems to me, in my experience, that if you have bike giveaway stuff and you put those things in the bags, that people might get things they don't want, don't need, end up throwing out, whatever. So rather than do it that way, what I notice happening is if we had different things in different bags, people would say, well, what's in that bag? Well, what's in that bag? So if we just leave the stuff on the table, don't worry about packing everything in the bags ahead of time. It'll potentially make our jobs a little bit easier. And the day before, when we're loading up boxes, we can divvy up stuff by different stations. And so these boxes are going to Adelaide 46. David will come and pick up his boxes and get all the stuff, and then you could put the stuff out on the table and say, do you need tire levers? Do you need a leg band? Everybody gets like something, unless they don't want anything. Yeah, so it just seemed like it was less wasteful.
Will some things go in the bags?
There will be paper in the bags. There'll probably be a Chinook book.
Cliff bars.
There's going to be things that
The Bikies Bay is.
other sponsors are putting in the bags, but not City of Emeryville.
And can I say that sometime between now and then, I am going to pick up a big pile of postcards for Love Our Neighborhood Day. And what's my cutoff to get them here so that there can be a stack for each station?
We're packing up the boxes the day before on the 13th.
So by what time? Like by 5 p.m.?
Is it going to be hot off the press?
Well, no, I just don't know. I'm not in charge of printing them,
Yeah.
and the person was a little vague about when the next batch
Yeah,
was
we're
coming. I don't know.
going to try and finish it by 3 p.m.
Okay. So I will get
So
them.
actually, we're going to start at 1. It'd be better if we had them at 1 because by
Okay.
3 we'll be finished.
So 1 to 3 on Friday?
No, 1 to 3. She's talking the day before, getting
This is on the
everything ready.
13th. We're loading
Right.
the boxes at 1
Oh,
o'clock
okay.
here.
But the backpack?
Bag stuffing is Friday,
From,
also coincidentally from 1 to 3.
okay.
Okay,
Should
so
be
I'll
at a
get you
different time.
postcards to City Hall by 1 p.m. Wednesday or earlier.
Yeah.
Or I will ride my bike to every station and drop them off.
Yeah, well, you could do that.
I'd rather not, but
Yeah.
okay.
Emeryville's not that big.
No, they're not.
So yeah, I'm sure there's other details that will come up, but if anybody thinks of anything, let me know.
Right. Thank you, Marcy.
So, yeah,
This is a
thank-
lot to coordinate.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everybody's help. That's what makes it doable. All right.
Is that it for this item?
Yeah.
Then we have no real action items, do we? Communications and reports.
So the new advisory body structure, right, is that the first thing on there? I know I handed this out last time, I changed it a a little bit, it was something minor. Oh, then, if you want to just pass it around. What I changed was that the date for people that are currently on the committee that want to apply for reappointment, that date, that deadline, I think there's more behind you, Ken.
Yeah, it was April 8th, and now it's June 1st.
Yeah, so I changed that.
But if we already sent that email when you first.
You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we recommend that we meet monthly, even though they specify we meet bi-monthly? Because we never get through our agenda items.
Somebody scoot that over here, because I don't want to say this and cover myself. Ken, that's a topic that is not under our purview to discuss. We were given this decision by council.
But we can't, there's no reason why we can't say we want to meet monthly. They don't have to agree with it, but are we not allowed to?
I think you should bring it up in the training.
Well, could we I wonder if we could vote on putting that on the agenda or in July, and we could vote on it, and the council can say yes or no.
I think the best thing for everybody to do is to come to the training. And if you want to be on the committee, if you want to stay on the committee, if you know anybody that wants to be appointed to the committee, do that by June 1st. Come to the training, and you can bring all these things up because this is not a decision that we can make here.
We can't make any decisions. We're only making recommendations anyway, so.
Anyway, the structure of community advisory committees was not discussed or voted on here. That's a council item.
Right.
So I'm just saying that when the training takes place, that would be the place to bring that question up and how you handle stuff like that.
Okay.
If you want to have a special meeting every other month and have a regular meeting, ask if that's possible, if that's doable, if that's what you want to do. Maybe they would say, okay, yes, you can have a meeting, but staff won't staff it and you can meet wherever you want, but not here. I don't know.
Well, hopefully, a lot of us use it, but still, even.
Yeah, they still have to post the agenda and stuff like that, right?
I don't know. Bring it to the training, or ask Karen Hemphill. This is not my thing. I'm just the messenger. Okay.
So the training, it will be in July, not June?
Yeah, that was my question.
Let's see, so
Number 8.
Well, that goes to a client here. It'll be
Yeah,
4
the
months.
morning.
yeah, so I'm sorry, I realized that it would be in July because that's when the new people would have started.
Well, it would have to be after that.
Yeah, exactly.
So will it be at our first meeting in July, or
No, it
some
will
other
be in
time?
the evening.
Some other day?
That I did find out.
So training will have to happen to all new committee members from now until eternity.
Well, not
Every
just
2
new.
years.
All committee members.
All committee
Yes, in other words, every new one that comes on.
No,
like,
all.
No, all
of
members.
us.
Yeah, I know, but
Every 2
after we get the
years.
training, and then a couple years later, we got the new member that comes on, they'll have to get a training, and then.
No,
No.
2
Well,
years
that's
later,
the
you'll have to be trained again too,
In case you forgot.
because you're kind of untrainable.
So is that true, Marcy? We'll have to
That's what it
have,
says
sorry.
here.
so what do you do for like, if somebody quits, and somebody new comes on, they have to get a special
They would be
training?
oriented, yeah.
So,
By whom? How would that happen?
Karen Hemphill is a likely suspect, I'm guessing.
so
What's the nature of the training? If you get this,
The nature of the training, it would
It's mostly
be
brain.
probably things like the Brown Act, Robert's Rules of Order, how meetings are conducted, the structure of the meeting, how things get put on the agenda, and the work plan, how to write a work plan. Staff are going to get trained also, so it's going to be a lot about, what would what a work plan would consist of, the goals in a work plan, how you write it, that sort of thing.
well, does the committee have any input on what the work plan is?
That's what the committee will be doing, yes.
All committees.
So,
That will be your job, you will have homework.
I just wanted to say that, if we want to, these committees are run by volunteers, none of us get paid. And if you want to solicit people, volunteers, in my opinion, I mean, this is neither here nor there, this is just my opinion, you don't like saddle them with work plans and trainings and, you just, I mean, this is going to probably affect a drop-off, I would imagine, in volunteering.
Oh, we used to have 14 members, and now we're only going to have 7.
So again, so they're asking for a drop off.
We can have drop off.
It will, the 7th.
Hopefully we won't have
If you
to
make it really
That's
onerous to
fine.
be on a committee, people will not want to volunteer their time. And it's like,
Oh, 7. It keeps going down.
it's not for anybody here to say necessarily, but that's a natural effect. If you make it onerous on volunteers that are doing stuff for no money, they tend to walk
I
away.
think why there's 7, because it's operating number. You don't know that.
This period is wrong, right? Where the annual report, the annual report is for the past year, okay. So, Marcy, is our September meeting on the second Monday, because the first Monday is Labor Day?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that the training, that since everybody on all the advisory committees needs to be trained, that they all have a couple of options of dates. I'm just concerned. They just say it's.
I tried to get more information from Karen before she went on vacation, and she probably hasn't really had time to think about the dates yet, is my guess. And she's going to be back.
You haven't received I'm sorry, I'm interrupting.
She'll be back in May, and she'll probably know, maybe she'll give people a couple options and see when most people can make it or something like that.
I think it would be good to offer at least 2 different trainings so that people who can't make it on one. I mean, what happens if you're on vacation? It's July.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to make sure
Yeah,
that they do it so everybody can get trained. I
Okay.
don't know exactly how she's going to do that.
So members that haven't been trained or don't get a vote, is that what they're talking about?
Brian, I think, you're thinking of all these different possibilities.
Well, I'm just, because I'm going to be
I
gone for all summer, and I'm just wondering, like, if I probably won't be able to I might not be able to make a training thing.
I guess you can discuss that when you get a message about the training. You can write back and ask about it.
But are you allowed to vote if you haven't been trained? Do you
I have not heard
Doesn't say anything
anything.
about this, right?
Yeah, I have not heard anything about that.
Marcy, I'm a little concerned about efficiency. If one of our major work assignments will be to develop this work plan for our committee, and that we need to have had the training ideally before our July meeting, because we don't have another meeting until September.
Right.
So the training really should be in between councils making the appointments on June 16th and our next meeting on July 6th. So during that period of time with our new members.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to be kind of wondering what we're doing on July 6th.
I see.
Yeah. I have to say, it seems like kind of a tight deadline for our first to
Yeah.
come up with a work plan and a report when we're only meeting really
Right.
twice in
Yeah.
that period.
Maybe the work plan
And
will be pretty short.
we have other stuff.
Well, we'll be discussing it. We may not be finalizing it, but we'll be.
Yeah.
Well,
we
no,
need
but
to
it
be
says
able-
it's due by 9:30, the end of September, so we only have 2
Well,
meetings.
so we'll have July and September. So we need to start discussion
Could
on
we
July
have a
6th.
special meeting next month and discuss what we want to see in the work plan?
So,
That'd be a good idea.
I think, these are all good questions to talk about in the training. I wish I had more information. I did not create these guidelines. I just...
It's doable. We just have to figure
Yeah.
out when we're going to do each thing and do them at the.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's it's etched in stone once you write the plan, that you can't open it up and add to it or modify it after. But something may be due the end of September, and then you can still work on it. I don't see why it shouldn't be a work in progress.
I think we ought to jump the gun and have a special meeting and come up with a work plan and then put it out.
You're not going to be you mean in June?
Yeah.
But you won't be...
You won't be appointed yet.
Yeah.
Right, but we can still come up with the criteria for
Or
work plan.
trained.
They don't have to
Yeah, people
listen
know what a
to
work
it.
plan is.
Yeah, I think we need the training to figure out what the work plan is.
Yeah,
Okay.
Personally, I think that's what's going to happen.
yeah.
So that's for the, what else do we
I
need to know
think
about
it's
this
official,
advisory?
this committee
So-
does not like change. I'll just say that for me personally.
Yeah, we do.
I like the
We
way it
like
was.
slower cars and more bikes and more bike racks
Change
and more
in our
places to park,
structure.
places and
More
easier.
members.
Yes.
Change in the
That's change.
streets is one thing, change in our structure, not so much.
All right, what's next?
Oh, it didn't say, what it was going to take to put things on That was on the last
No, it
last
does
month
say
when we
it.
read that. Where does it say?
At number 10. A majority vote is required.
Oh,
to-
majority of us, see, last month it said 2/3.
It did
Well, that's
not.
what
It did too.
I did not change that.
There was no, it said 2/3?
That was
Probably had it.
that was your inference.
Possibly.
Amazing.
Now we need, okay, so the same as the Supreme Court.
Okay, so now
Right?
we
In order to
need,
review something, you need 5 members of the
If
Supreme
it
Court.
works for them.
We need
right?
4
So now we
members.
would-
We need 4 out of 7.
we would need a motion now to put those items that I suggested on the next agenda.
Right, we'll get to that,
Okay.
because that's going on.
So that's another thing, I don't consider that an improvement. What if, there are all kinds of people that help, that are committee members, and what if somebody who wants to talk about something that's, that at first blush doesn't look very appealing to the majority?
Then they're gonna have to
The way
lobby
it is
until
now-
we get it on.
Well, yeah, the way it is now, it can be put on the agenda anyway, and then the committee could realize, wait a minute, that is a good thing to talk about. But the way it's going to be is that will never see the light of day.
Well,
I don't think that's necessarily an improvement.
can I ask?
It's less discussion rather than more
Well, we've
discussion.
got this huge
that-
list of stuff that's dropping off that we haven't bothered to discuss, really.
Well, I also want to say, I think there's an issue if that's the only way. I'm assuming that staff can still put projects on the agenda that are coming through, because we might not know 2 months
This
ahead
is
of time.
individual committee members, so that's specifically about the committee members.
So
There'll
so
still be
staff can
there'll
still.
still be projects
Okay.
coming before BPAC that
Okay.
you want to weigh in on. And
Exactly, we
in
want
fact, weighing in on projects could be part of your work plan. Not that it has to specify which projects or how many or anything, but that would definitely be something you'd want to continue.
See, I just keep
doing
thinking about,
soon.
I just keep thinking about John Fricke talking about how we should have buffered bike lanes. And it was very unpopular by this committee. There was no, I think I was the only member. Were you here? Yeah, Tom was there for that.
Yeah.
It was very unpopular. The idea of buffered bike lanes was very
Well, now they're
unpopular.
becoming popular.
Yeah, and now they're
People have been to
popular. So,
Europe.
that's right, now they're extremely popular. But Fricke was saying that we should do them here in Emeryville. And so he was able to talk about them because we had a system whereby unpopular ideas could make their way into being part of our discussion. And now unpopular ideas are going to be weeded out, and they'll never be able to be part of our discussion. So, for
Maybe-
instance, buffered bike lanes would never have been able to be discussed
Brian?
were it not for this,
Maybe you're underestimating the committee members. And
Well, I'm not
maybe you
human
can ask
nature.
us, even if you disagree, please give us an area and we'll vote for it.
Well, that's what Fricke did, and he finally, after a couple,
No, I'm
meetings-
saying that even though we have to vote to put something on the agenda, maybe we will vote for things that we don't agree with, because we are willing to let them have an airing and hear more about
But
it.
I'm just saying, this new rule makes it more difficult, this is all I'm saying, it makes it more difficult for unpopular ideas to be able to be discussed by the committee, whereas before unpopular ideas could be discussed, and shot down maybe, but at least discussed, and now it's less likely to be discussed, so that's all. There's a change away from to the less discussion. Unpopular ideas are not going to be discussed as much. It's going to be the net effect, is what I'm saying. And I don't think that's necessarily an improvement. As a matter of fact, I would say that's not an improvement, decidedly. That's my opinion.
Gotcha. Okay, anything else on this? Planning department updates?
Yeah, so Sarah, who usually comes, is out today, and there really wasn't that much from the planning department, but Diana Akina wanted to mention that staff attended a technical advisory committee meeting in April, and a North County meeting on April. There were 2 different meetings, Alameda County Transportation Commission meetings, in which our city provided comments on maps of multimodal transportation in the East Bay, well, in this case would be Emeryville, but identifying where we're going to have buffered bike lanes, possibilities for other facilities, and I guess there's going to be, what they're doing that's different than the past is combining alternative modes all on one map, instead of having a separate map for pedestrian facilities, a separate map for bicycle facilities, a separate map for transit. It's going to be like a map at a glance with all the modes in one, for the purpose of studying what's needed where, what's missing, where are the gaps, and so a gap for cyclists to get to a bus, or pedestrians to walk to a bus stop, or what the bus stop is like, and and I think the different types of stops are going to be, bus stops are going to be on the map.
Can I ask you, Marcy, is this part of EBOTS, or is this?
No, this is Alameda County Transportation Commission. They hired somebody to create these maps.
Fair and Piers.
Fair and Piers, that's right. Yeah, Fair and Piers.
Matt Midway.
Matt who?
Matt Midway.
Okay. Anyway, so it's just something that the city participated in, and we just wanted you guys to know. The study, what she wrote is it's defining base street types more than just arterials, and based on trip lengths and traffic volumes and modal priorities based on land use, transit stops, and other factors. Modal priorities in the plan will inform future project funding. So when considering projects through the Measure B, the sales tax, they would have a more effective tool showing them where potential projects could be funded. And typically, projects are proposed, and so this would help fill in the pieces. So if somebody brings a proposal and they say, I want to put a facility on such and such a street at the Oakland-Emeryville border, and people are sitting there trying to think, well, where is this and what's already there? It would show all the, where the connections are and
where go to their BPAC, and then they consider it recommended to the commission.
Yeah, the Bicycle-Pedestrian Advisory Committee of the Alameda County Transportation Commission.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, having a map like this is going to be really helpful. So yeah, Dave Campbell and Diana Keena are on this technical advisory committee that was helping create this map.
So what is this map? Is just an overlay of the different public bike and...
Yeah, except I don't know if it's going to be like layers or if it's just going to be a map that shows everything.
It's not a model or traffic system model.
It's just a map. Just a map, so if somebody was to say, well, I've got this great project proposed for $150,000 and we want to put, buffered bike lanes right here, you could look at the map and see, oh yeah, wow, there's this gap, and I can see where it's really useful, so it's a tool for the BPAC members.
Will we have access to this map once it's done?
I don't see why not.
I mean,
That's
is
a
it
good
going to be
question.
online, or like where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it going to be?
Good question.
All you can do is watch the meeting, and then you'll see what they're talking about. And I record them also.
Well, maybe you know the answer to that question then. Is it going to be on an online?
Yeah, it'll be online.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be a really interesting map to look at.
Yeah.
Even for local committees to make requests for, where there's gaps and stuff. So, okay, that's that. And I think the next
Anything else
thing-
from the planning
yeah.
department?
That was all they wanted to share.
I want to mention that the MTC has this thing called vital signs, and now you can go on there and get the statistics of every city, every neighborhood, all the data.
Wow.
Vital signs.
From the regular MTC website, huh?
Well, they have a separate website for it, but you can get the link from the MTC website.
Cool.
Is there a Public Works Environmental Programs update?
Yes. I'll get to this list, but first I want to say two things that aren't on the list. One is, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, so if I did, forgive me, but I heard from Oakland that they're going to continue our treatment of Adeline from the northern end up to Berkeley. So the bike lane will match ours up to King Street, so that's good. As Ken alluded to, we are moving forward with regional bike share, and we're in the mix for sure. And they're trying to move really fast on that, so they're rolling out, the East Bay rollout is now, the negotiations have it as being done by the end of 2017, all of it. Oh, no, the beginning of 2017, all of it, which is pretty aggressive, but that's currently the timeline that Motivate is agreeing to. Then I have these things, this list. The main updates are on number 2. The bus stop benches did arrive. We have them. And the first 3 benches are planned for installation this week. I asked this morning and they said within 2 weeks. So that would be Black Diamond, Los Moles, and IHOP. And then the next item is the Christie Avenue Bay Trail. The pre-bid meeting is this week for that. And the bench at Trader Joe's will be part of that project. So that'll be done late spring, in summer. So that's when that bench will go in, that 4th bench of the first 4 that we're doing. The Greenway Crossing study, we had a good day here planning and looking at options and out on the Greenway with the traffic engineer, and we expect a report this month, a written report this month of options, and basically they're just going to give us specs on low-cost options and more high-cost options, and give us a menu to choose from of what we can do, ways to make the crossings for the people on the Greenway safer, and the information for all users on both directions better. Horton Street traffic calming, we have accepted the proposal of Alta, but our legal has the agreement. They wanted some changes in our legal language, so that's where we stand with that. But we're ready to roll fast once we get moving. And I do have better data now on Horton Street, which I'll communicate with you. If you remember, shoot me an email.
Okay.
I did adjust. If you recall, the early data that I had was all with the sensitivity was set too broadly, and so we were capturing cars multiple times on the street. We were capturing cars that turned at 45th, and we have it now within a 10% margin of error. I see it come, because I'll sit out there for a 15-minute period and count the cars, and then I'll download the data and look at that 15 minutes and check it. And it's 10% plus or minus and I think we could work with that.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because I've noticed, as somebody who always wants to know how fast I'm going on my bike, that it does
well,
not.
You probably lay on it when you're.
Of course, I always do, and but I'm not being recorded at all.
You're being recorded. It's recording.
It's just not
you.
flashing the number. That's what my question.
It's only flashing it starting at 15 or showing it. So I do the same thing, and I rev up. I make sure I get saved by that thing. But it's counting you. I'll see bikes go by as I'm sitting there, and they're 6 and they're 9 and they're 11, and they're going by, but it's not showing on the side.
Okay, but that's what I was wondering, because I was wondering if it would just flash.
I couldn't decide flash that.
What's that?
I couldn't decide flash that.
I don't know if that's
You're driving by at 3 miles an hour.
It was before, I think.
But in Berkeley it works. If you go up Alcatraz, the one on Alcatraz sees the bikes.
Yeah, I will look at the settings because it's very easy to change. I just have to go out there with the laptop and connect and change it. If I can get it to display down further, I will.
It's just kind of fun, and also, I mean, I'm always noticing if there's a car sort of heading that way with me, what their speed is, and I'd sort of like to know what my speed is relative to theirs.
Right.
It's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, what the difference is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, safe routes to school. Mike, any?
I can't.
Project will bid in spring 2015.
Spring?
That's what it says here.
Probably not.
Summer? Fall?
Late summer, yeah.
Okay.
And when's ECCL supposed to be opening?
They're saying January for the high schoolers.
Wow.
Is that gonna happen?
That's not,
They have the money and everything? Do they have a school board?
Yeah, I don't know.
Superintendents and principals?
Because that Santa Fe site is
Money?
gonna take its, they're gonna put an elementary there, right? That's where the high school.
That's what the pressure is. I don't know when the elementary's going in there.
No, I mean, right now they're,
Right.
I don't know when either.
that's a big question.
Yeah. The shell mound, improvements in front of Hyatt House, where I just was at 2 meetings today where I talked about this. So we're hoping to tie it, as we've said, to Marketplace. And Marketplace they were going to be taking the roadway to Planning Commission this month, but we're pushing it out again because we don't have all the information we need. So I'm guessing July, August, we'll be taking that roadway to Planning Commission. Keep an eye on the Planning Commission agendas and see, because one thing I'm asking for is they've got a cycle track, as they showed us, cycle track inside the bus stop, and the parked cars on the first half of the first, by the residential building going north on Shellbound.
It was between, the bus goes like this and the bike goes straight, was that what it was?
The bike goes on the building side.
Okay.
Yeah, but then they pull it back out and you go past a few street parking spots. And I'm saying, no, I want that in. So that's going to be in our conditions of approval unless they persuade me there's some compelling reason that they can't do that.
So it'll be basically parking buffered and bus stop
Parking
buffered the whole
buffered,
way.
northbound only, southbound will be regular bike lane.
Cool.
Yeah. So if it all goes as we hope. Sidewalk improvement program, this is in progress. The bids for the citywide were opened and presumably we're in contract negotiations for that.
Yeah, should be breaking ground this month, I'd say.
Yeah, I noticed my next door neighbors got some spray paint down there.
And
About as bad a sidewalk as there exists in our city.
yeah. Those are all my updates for this month.
Can I ask a question that sort of relates to this and the next, that the Greenway Crossing study, has a report coming, and then the Horton Street traffic coming will move pretty fast, so do we need to put those on the agenda? Because I would love to have an agenda item to discuss the results of the Greenway traffic study, to have that
That would
presented.
be good, huh?
Or is that something staff can just put on as soon as it's ready to go?
Yeah, when we get it. That was,
Okay,
yeah.
I guess I just want to note that I would love to see that as an agenda item here, and also obviously the Horton Street traffic coming once everything's straightened out and Alta's on board. It would be great to have them come and sit down with us and
Okay.
talk about what they're thinking.
I will commit to checking it when we have information.
Cool.
Is that it? Okay, so we took committee member announcements and we moved it. And new business for the next regular BPAC meeting, July 6th.
Well, so do we make motions and vote on them now?
I think that July 6th would be a good time to put the Greenway Crossing study on.
As long as we have the results, yeah.
As long as you have the results, yeah.
But maybe we don't, I guess what I'm wondering is, do we need to vote to put that
It's
on?
due this month and maybe it'll be there next month. We should have it by July.
It doesn't hurt to vote.
Okay, it doesn't hurt to vote.
Doesn't hurt to vote.
All right, well, I'll second that.
Unless there's no choice, no good choices to vote for.
Well, in other words, if you want to put something on the agenda, you might as well take a vote.
Okay.
Okay, then I wanted to put the item on about the advertising for the bike share, so we can recommend that the council allow that so the bike share can go forward.
Advertising on bike share. Do you know when that is gonna come
It's-
up?
Well, the contract language, the last version I saw, apparently I heard today there's a new version of, in process language. The last version I saw, and every version has said that the advertising is subject to local regulation. So, local restriction. So we have called MTC's attention to the fact that we have a no advertising policy. And I spoke to the city attorney and the city manager, and it's their inclination to stick with that. And so that would be on the kiosk itself. There's a board with a map, and that's where we would not be wanting advertising. That's the city's position, and it's not contrary to what's in the contract documents right now. What will not be in our hands, and which neither the city manager nor the city attorney had a problem with, was the bikes being branded. Because those are movable, they're not tied to our street. They're part of the whole system, and they get moved, around. So that's sponsorship on the bikes. We're differentiating from advertising on the kiosks.
What you were talking about was something on bus patches or something.
Well, I'm saying that
stops.
You just said that.
But that has nothing to do with bike ped, really.
Well, the bus stops.
Unless
Well,
you're saying that you.
Well, it does if you don't allow the bikes to have the advertising, as Nancy was just saying, then it can't go forward. Because at the MTC meeting, some of the commissioners said, well, gee, I really wouldn't want to be advertising for Chevron or any of that stuff. And it was brought up by, what's the name of the mitigation? What's the name of the company that's running it?
Motivate.
It was brought up by Motivate that that's what makes it work. That in New York it worked because they had Citibank on all the bikes, and that's how it worked.
But I think what the point is that the bikes will have that branding.
Right.
Like the city bikes in New York, it's just the question is whether the stations will have ads or not. Because the stations are
Right,
slated to
so
have
it's like a
ads.
kiosk, where you sign in.
But it sounds like that's not a deal breaker for the bike share.
The language right now and our discussions with MTC indicate that it's not a deal breaker.
And
So-
I want to say in New York, the bikes are branded, but I don't remember ads on the kiosks. The kiosks aren't that big, and they're really all about how do you pay for your bike share.
Yeah, the kiosk would be for information, not as another billboard.
I mean, maybe the back of the kiosk had an ad or something, I don't really remember.
Right. And I know Oakland is writing an ordinance to allow it, as they do for billboards. So it'll be out there, but we're saying right now in Emeryville, it's against our restrictions, and the contract language says they're subject to local restrictions. So we'll see how it plays out.
So I guess you had set an agenda item, Tom, and we didn't vote on it.
No, we haven't voted on
Maybe
it.
should we
I'd
take
like to
one
put
at
the
a time?
Greenway Crossings, discussion on the Greenway Crossing study on our next meeting.
And I second
And I
that.
said, and you seconded. Shall we, have the committee members vote? All in favor? It's good enough. You too?
Yeah.
So right now we're on business items 5, right?
Right, new business.
Yes, we are.
So then just defer the
So do you have a proposal, sir?
Yes.
Just defer it to the committee that doesn't have to consider.
Ken, what's your
to see how it
proposal?
plays out. like
Do
I
we want to
said.
vote on Ken's?
What was he voting on?
Well, I just withdrew it because I'm going to go along with Nancy said, let's just
Right,
see how it
Okay,
plays out.
okay.
Brian has something he'd
Okay,
like
I would like
to try to
to-
get on the agenda.
3 things on the next agenda. 1, update on Court Street Bike Boulevard traffic calming.
Can I-
Presentation be made to the committee.
Can I make a friendly amendment to that? Because my agenda item that I'd love to see is to talk about Horton Street traffic calming, and with the idea that we could brainstorm some inexpensive stuff that we could do while we're waiting for the traffic calming that Alta's going to do to.
Okay, that seems like a separate issue though, doesn't it? I mean, I guess it could happen under the rubric of Horton Street.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay, so they've
And-
chosen somebody for the project and they're working with
We
ACTC
just don't
for
know
getting
if they'll-
funding. Have they gotten the funding?
I don't know, that's what I-
We don't have any
that's
study.
why I
We
wanted
don't have
to
any
just-
No,
study
but
yet, right?
We
working on the
have
contract.
funding for the study, but not
Okay.
Okay, we don't have
to
talk
actually
about it now. I'm
implement
saying
it.
I'm requesting it be on the next agenda, and then Laura, well, what I do,
I want to
issue
talk
call.
about whether there's some interim measures we can take, because there seems to be an issue right now.
Okay, so I guess my request then, I agree with what you're saying, so my request then would be Horton Street update and,
I mean,
Tweak
your
it.
interim measures to call the police and ask them to enforce.
Okay, we also would want to
hold
ask.
on, so my,
Well-
so hear that I said, so I have a motion, so I want to, on the next agenda, we talk about Horton Street, to get an update plus feedback from community members about improvements.
But along with that, on Horton Street, what the impact of the remediation will be in the transit center, because there'll be a lot of trucks and traffic here, so we want that concept too, what the impact's going to be of that.
Okay, I guess, okay, sure.
Sounds like a pretty long agenda. item.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I think
any second-
I guess my thing is I would want it to be an action
Wanna
item,
just
not
call
just
it-
an update. I would like us to be
We're
able
gonna call
to
it
make.
Horton Street catch-all.
Yeah, but I just
Well,
like
then let's
us.
just do 2 separate ones, so let me
Or
finish
Horton
mine,
Street
and then you can do
revisited.
yours. Okay,
What do
we're
you
gonna
wanna
do 2
call
separate,
it?
okay, so I'm taking it back, so
the first item I want on the agenda is Horton Street traffic calming update. That's the first item. Any seconds? Okay. Tom, you're running the meeting.
Shall we call over the roll? All in favor of this?
Just say anybody opposed. All right, then the
No,
next item
that's
I want is...
mean.
Okay, all right. Next item I want, real quickly, let's just make it as fast as possible. An update on 45th Street Bicycle Boulevard. Especially from Maurice's numbers. I'm concerned, with concern about Maurice's numbers. So, presentation, or give them have Maurice give us an update as to what he thinks the traffic numbers are on Horton Street. So that we can.
I'd just like to say that we don't have anything new since he came last, so I don't know that that's a very productive.
Okay, all right,
item.
okay, I'll accept that. So then let's let me change my phrasing. 45th Street Bike Boulevard traffic calming. We need to start. We know that it's a problem now, so we need to talk about it and then with an eye towards requesting a traffic count, so we don't rely on Maurice's guess. Instead, we find out for sure. So 45th Street Bike Boulevard traffic count is what I hope we can discuss.
You want to request a traffic count?
Yeah, is what I hope we can discuss and then take to.
I mean, I think that you're not going to get anywhere until you request a traffic count.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm going to put on the next thing. The last item is on the.
No. Let's deal with that item.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. We haven't voted on it.
Is there a second?
So,
Okay. Shall we vote on it?
Yes.
All in favor? Anyone opposed?
You may not want to do it. Just curious.
And you're abstaining?
I abstain. I don't.
So you've got
It's not my high.
3, 2, 1. Does it pass or not?
Who voted yes again?
I think that's a majority.
Yeah, 3 is majority.
Reason majority.
Yeah, that's all I got to say.
The abstain counts as what?
As
Well,
a
it's
no.
Who voted in favor?
Okay, 3.
So 3.
So you would need 4 to pass, right? There's 6 of us here.
The problem is we don't have an odd number of members.
Okay, and then there were 2 opposed and 1 abstain. Does the abstain count as a no or not?
Done.
That's what we would find out
Yeah,
in
it
the
does.
Robert's Rule of
It
Order.
does count as a no.
Huh?
It does count
Yeah,
as a no,
we
but
did.
you
It does
need
count as a no?
you need a majority of affirmative votes to go forward.
So it does, then I'm guessing that it's not going to be on there at this point. Somebody needs to talk to Maurice.
I would say you put it
Sorry.
on the following agenda, not the next one.
Yeah,
maybe
maybe put it on the
agenda.
following, that's.
Yeah, in any
Anyways, we're not
right.
doing it for that one yet.
So in any case, it is
What's
not.
your, you had a third one,
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
Well, we wouldn't, as a bike committee, be interested in that. But we know now we're in violation. I'm kind of surprised that we wouldn't verify.
We
that.
don't know.
You
that
know
we're in
we're in
violation.
violation.
I don't
You're
know.
convinced
Maurice
that
knows.
we're in
No.
violation.
I'm not
There's
making.
a difference.
No. The professional that is the person that runs the
His last
liaison.
numbers were from like
Maurice
9
knows
years
it.
ago.
I don't know
7
it.
years ago.
Yeah, but it's not me. It's Maurice. I'm just accepting what
But
he
he didn't
said.
say we were in violation, he just gave
said
us a number. You
1,500.
said we're in
He said,
violation.
oh, we're probably
1,500.
close to that number.
He said 1,500. Yeah.
There's a recording of what he said. in
Yeah,
your-
that's right. So I asked him. He said 15. Okay, so then the last one is so it's 45th Horton, and then Laura, can you go ahead because I forgot now.
Okay, so the one I would like to put on the agenda is Horton Street, short-term or near-term traffic calming or education. Maybe, I guess education, not traffic calming, because I don't think, that's a separate project.
It needs to
Horton
be
Street-
enforcement, that's all it needs
Yeah,
to
Horton
be.
Street enforcement, signage, just any steps that we can take in the short term that we might recommend to council.
I'll second
Okay.
that. I second.
People ready? Okay, yeah, I hear you. Okay, so we call the roll here. All in favor of this? Looks like it's 6-0.
Good. The last thing I wanted to say, I just remembered.
Okay.
There's a problem that we just saw that about 45th Street Bike Boulevard. Some people don't know whether or not we're in violation of the authority. We need to have the city be more proactive with watching out for violations. What is the word you prefer?
Overages.
Overages vis-a-vis our Bicycle Boulevard system.
It shouldn't be up to rumor, hearsay, us with our opinions. Instead, the city should be more proactive.
Well,
So
so
let's
maybe
talk
doing
about.
traffic counts every 5
Yeah,
years,
let's,
every
yeah,
3
that's,
years?
yeah, so I wanna
every
talk about,
month?
I wanna talk
Every
about that.
10 years?
Yeah, well, I don't know, I wanna talk about that next meeting, like, the way it's working now, it's not working, so let's have the city be more proactive, that's what I'd like to talk about at the next meeting, with regard to overages on our bike boulevard.
Is this a separate item, another item you're bringing up?
That's number 3 for me, yes.
So traffic counts.
So first was Horton, second was 45th Street, third is traffic counts for the whole bike boulevard system, so we don't have to use this the way it's been, and which has been flawed. in my opinion.
What do you want
So
to
that's
suggest,
what I-
policy for overages, what are they going to do about an overage? Because if you
Well, no, we already know,
just-
we have the plan, the pedestrian bike plan, we already know what has to be done with when there are overages. We just want to know where overages are happening. Yeah, it's on the plan, yeah. So we want to know.
Says that you go from, you know.
Yeah, level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Level 1 to 2, yeah. two.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
in the plan. So what I want to know is, we need a more reliable way to determine where overages are, so we can start talking about them. So my request number 3 for an agenda item is, talk about asking the city council to
Maybe that's
Go out and
gonna,
start-
that's gonna probably be part of our work plan eventually.
maybe, but if
How to
barring
update
that.
traffic counts?
Yeah, update, yeah.
I mean, that would be
yeah.
reasonable.
We want to be able to talk about the city's traffic counts vis-à-vis the bicycle boulevard system, so we don't have the overages. That's my request. Any seconds?
Second.
Well, why don't we do traffic counts more often? Are they just?
That's what I'm saying.
It costs money.
Are they expensive? Like
Costs,
how
yeah.
expensive? Like.
Well,
They
they-
tend- I
You
think-
pay some consultant to go out and count.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can't just like.
I,
Well, if they just put a
And if we
box
did it
in.
with volunteers, you know, it
It's
would
not that
be,
expensive. They just put a little thing across the road.
Seven
with
days,
boxes.
yeah.
but yeah, but that doesn't, I don't know if that works for bikes. I think that works for cars, but maybe not bikes.
But that's what it is. Cars is what sets it over to moving up to the next
Do we
level.
have a system for when we do it, or does it wait until somebody says we need? a
Now
traffic
it's,
count?
there's no
No
way
sy-
now. There's
so we have
no
no system
system.
now.
I think what we.
That's what I'm
That's
asking.
what
That's what I
I-
want to
I'll
have.
just, can I just
Or
say
talk about it
what
at
I
least.
have seen
Okay.
since I've been on this committee is that traffic counts tend to get done when new projects are proposed, because that's part of the planning for that project, is to do a
Right.
traffic count so they understand the current condition.
Yeah, but
And we use those going forward, and
But there's a
that,
problem with that, is as Emeryville gets built out, which we are
We
now.
won't have as
We won't
many.
have them, so,
Right.
so we need to have a way. So I think we should discuss it, I'd like to discuss it, and then
we
come
have
up
that,
with
we
it.
have it on Horton Street now, because we have those nice signs that are installed.
Yeah, I guess, but anyway, so I want to talk about that, I guess Laura seconded it.
yeah,
Okay.
let's call the vote. All in favor?
I'd like more advice in general about how much it costs.
Sure, I
Yeah.
have this
So
feeling this is
they
gonna
can
end up
talk
in our,
about it, yeah.
I think I'm just feeling this is gonna end up in our work plan.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
It might, I
It's
think
just
it's
a
very,
thought.
very possibly good.
Yeah.
Those are my three things.
Anything else
Oh, what
anybody
time
wants to
will
try
you
to
sign
throw
this
on our
schedule?
already crowded agenda? Any big projects coming up? You know?
Well, yeah, there's big projects, but I don't know when.
I mean, for July? Maybe?
I don't know.
Oh, we don't have to vote on
I
those, I
got
think
two.
the point is that
I
the
know.
staff.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering, you know, see how crowded our
I
agenda
think things
gets.
have kind of slowed.
Yeah, when's Sherwin-Williams coming through?
Boy.
When's that big train coming through?
Now, you heard about Mike Biddle, right? Mike Biddle
He's gone.
is not going to continue his
He's not
contract
gone
after
yet.
after June.
Yeah.
And then he's going to work for the attorneys that are handling the Sherwin-Williams project.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He's a city attorney.
Maybe we were outbid, huh?
Yes.
Or maybe it was just a mole to begin with. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. Okay, let's adjourn. I better shut up.
All right.
Now, I was wondering if we want to start, does this committee start taking positions on state legislation and pending?
On what?
On state legislation and pending for bicycles?
We could recommend that the city council do that. We've done that in the past. We've talked about asking for the Idaho rule and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
because somebody put a law out that every bicyclist should wear a helmet.
That failed. That was shut down.
I know, but it's coming up again next week. It's like, this is the stuff that's coming up in the new legislation.
It's coming up in the state, at the state level.
They want a mandatory helmet law versus state law?
I saw that the bike people were so happy that they
So I
done
mean,
that.
you know, so I need to legislate session, the new bill.
Yeah.
Making you wear a helmet? Do you wear a helmet?
No, I don't.
You know, I
When you become a
religiously
ward
do,
of the
but-
state, will you sign a waiver so we don't have to pay for you?
But you know what, if there's problems, like my wife is a pedicab driver, and it would be a real problem for them to wear helmets and go to their
Why?
passengers. It just wouldn't be, they couldn't talk to their passengers as much. They're on a tricycle, similar to on a bike,
Right.
not the same thing. But they, you know, unless there's an exception, they would be covered by that law.
Mind seeing some enforcement for the kids though, because it always seems like kids that aren't wearing helmets are
Probably because they can't afford it or whatever. I mean, they hand out helmets, schools hand them out, but we need to do more of that.
There used to be an ER that did it.
Well, the San Francisco, the Bike Coalition does it, and I think we just aren't as well funded over here. But different groups will do it, schools, there will be things at school.